Hello and welcome back to this episode of the Engage 8 podcast. I am Josh and my co-host Mike. Today we are doing our NBA playoff preview episode. We're going to go through the six matchups we have locked up. We'll talk a little bit about the play-in as we go, and then we're going to do our bracket predictions and talk about some futures at the end of the show. Before we get into that, though, we are coming off of Masters weekend. Rory McIlroy completes the career Grand Slam by winning the Masters, his first major in 11 years, and he almost choked it away in true Rory fashion. He bogeys 11, double bogeys 13, bogeys 14, bogeys 18, shoots one over for the round, still gets to a playoff with Justin Rose, who I don't have it off the top of my head. Maybe you could look it up. Justin Rose shot like what, six or seven under on Sunday? I forget what he shot, but Justin Rose was absolutely unreal on Sunday. Goes to a playoff with him, and Rory birdies, Rose pars, and Rory wins the tournament. I'm personally not a big Rory guy. I don't usually root for him or really against him, to be honest. I'm just kind of indifferent on him. But after the holes 11 through 14, where he went four over in three holes, and it looked like he was going to choke a four-stroke lead on Sunday, I mean, coming out of the turn on Sunday, it looked like it was all but over. We were going to have a pretty uneventful Masters. But after he choked that away, I was rooting for him to come through. It would have been really tough to watch him choke away another one, especially the one for the Grand Slam. So I'm happy for Rory, and this was probably one of the best Masters we've had, and probably since 2019 with Tiger.
Yeah, definitely was one of the best matches we've had since 2019. Just a lot of great shots, some terrible shots by Rory on that Sunday tournament when he put it in the water. He just was up and down all day on Sunday. He had his first day on Thursday, he struggled. He had a great round, but had two double bogeys to put him at even par after that day. But Friday, Saturday, six under on both days. Sunday does shoot one over, but he found a way on that playoff hole to come back from his struggles that he had all day hitting bad shots, and he hit a great shot to go and put himself in position to get a birdie on that last hole as Justin Rose loses his second playoff in the Masters, third second place finish for him. But I'm also not the biggest Rory McIlroy fan, but I did bet on him with the future to win the Masters, and so I was rooting for that, and also just rooting for him to win. Bryson DeChambeau had a great start to the weekend, three under on Thursday, four under on Friday, three under on Saturday, but just did not have it on Sunday. He shot three over on Sunday, was in that last pairing with Rory, couldn't get it done. But all around, it was a great weekend. A lot of guys showed up and had great days. Scotty was good again. DeChambeau was good. Ludwig Oberg has been very good at the Masters so far in his career. Another top 10 finish for him in his second Masters. But a lot of guys showed up and had good days. Unfortunately, Mickelson didn't make the cut, but just another old guy playing there. And who am I thinking of that had a great day on Thursday that shot one under? Fred
Fred
Couples.
Couples, yeah, Fred
Fred
Couples.
Couples shot under par on Thursday. He's one of the oldest people to shoot under par at the tournament. So congratulations to him. He was great there, but a great Masters tournament all around, and happy for Rory McIlroy. And it was just impressive to see someone pretty much save their legacy in a tournament, as he does end up getting that career Grand Slam and winning a major after 10 years of trying.
A
So
couple, a
good for
couple
him.
of the big storylines coming out of the Masters on Sunday. One of them, did you see the thing where Rory wasn't speaking to Bryson on Sunday?
Yeah,
Like that was his strategy, and Bryson was all pissed about it at the end.
yeah. I don't know if he was
Classic
all pissed
Bryson.
about it. I don't think he was pissed about it.
It seemed like he was a little upset
He
to
just said
me.
he wouldn't talk to me, and it's fine. I don't think he was pissed
Oh, I didn't
about it.
hear the "it's fine" part.
I don't know if he said it's fine, but he said he
You just
wouldn't
made
talk
that
to me.
up.
I mean, that's kind of just the vibe I got. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, Rory needed to do that after the U.S. Open. What was it
Yeah,
last year or the year before? I think
that
it
was
was
last
last
year.
year. What else was a big storyline? Some people are calling Scotty Scheffler a Masters merchant.
I
He
mean,
doesn't really, I mean, he does solid at other majors, but I don't think he's won another major outside of the Masters, to my knowledge.
he hasn't. But I mean, last year he had the tournament where um he got sent to jail before the tournament started, so that
Right.
probably threw him off a
In
little
Louisville,
bit.
yeah.
He did win the FedEx Cup last year,
Yeah, that's true.
so
Fit the
that's a
fifth
big
major.
tournament. Yeah. So I mean,
And
I don't think he's a mess. I think he still has time. He's still young.
no, I mean, I agree. It's just funny for people to call you a Masters merchant. I think he'd be pretty okay with that, being
Yeah.
a merchant at the best golf tournament in the world. And then the last one, I'm sure you've seen it with the marker who plays if there's an odd number of players who make the cut on Saturday or going into Saturday. There's a marker who's a member of Augusta who plays alongside the last person to make the cut if it's an odd number. And apparently the old marker, there's a new one now, but there was a marker who did it for a ton of years, and he has the course record at Augusta. I don't remember exactly what he shot, but imagine getting to just play the Masters. Like you don't get to keep score. You're not allowed to have your name on the back of your caddy's uh, jersey or whatever you want to call the caddy's outfit. And they're not allowed to talk about you on the broadcast. You're not on the leaderboard. But I mean, how sick would that be to just get to play the Masters every year?
Oh, that'd be so sick.
And
Just join in, man.
exactly, dude. Imagine how hard that dude on Friday is rooting for there to be an odd number. He's just aggressively rooting for that.
I'd go out there and shoot a 150. I'd break the course record, but in a different way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The apparently I heard that the old marker, the one who has the course record, because he knows the course so well because he plays there so often. Apparently Tiger Woods would have sit down meetings with him before the Masters
Oh
and
wow.
ask him about the course and like how it's playing this year, how the greens are, which is just insane. Imagine being valuable to being able to give Tiger Woods
Yeah,
golf advice.
you're doing something right.
Yeah, there's not many people are allowed to do that. Apparently, he's like a CEO at a Fortune 500 company or
Wow,
something. I don't
that
know,
makes
but
sense.
yeah, something like that. But there's a new marker now, so I guess shout out to that guy. I don't know either of
Oh,
their names, but
you might get a green jacket for that.
you should. Could you imagine, like, I don't know. I feel like if they go out there and they shoot like an 8 under on Saturday, they should just throw him on the leaderboard.
Yeah,
They're just in the tournament. Make them play two
honestly,
more rounds first Thursday, Friday,
he's in the
and
playoff.
that'd be crazy, bro. That'd be absurd. But you got anything else on the Masters before we move on to the playoffs here?
I'll say I put a future on Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau, and Ludwig Åberg, and they were all in the hunt late on Sunday, so that was fun to watch. I was worried that Justin Rose was going to steal it, but
Yeah, that would have been brutal.
one of my better performances all time betting.
Oh, on that note, I guess I can speak on Shane Lowry, who is officially on my ban list. I will never ever bet on him again. He was like top six, top seven for the first 3 days, and then shoots an 81 on Sunday. Goes from what would have been $1 million purse to $75,000 in one day. So Shane Lowry, you're on the ban list. Just can't do it anymore, bro. Can't bet on you.
Yeah, that's a bad day.
Yeah, had to get that one off. But we'll start
9
here
over. Damn.
with the NBA playoffs. We'll go in the Eastern Conference. For some reason, the NBA or the ESPN.com bracket has the Western Conference in front of the Eastern Conference. I'm not really sure why, but whatever. We will skip the play-in for now because as we're recording this, we're still waiting to see who gets the eighth seed for both conferences. But we can start with the 4-5 matchup: Pacers and Bucks in the Eastern Conference. The Pacers are the 4 seed, the Bucks are the 5 seed. So this series is going to start in Indy. And this is a very interesting series for me. The Bucks do lead the league in three-point percentage at 38.7% right now. They do not shoot a ton of threes. The Pacers, I believe, they're one of the top scoring teams, I believe. Or no, they have the most points in a single game this year with 162, which is absolutely wild. They pass the ball very well. They're third in assists at 29.2. Offensive efficiency, you have Milwaukee at 11 and uh, Indiana at 8. Funny enough, the Suns are 10th in offensive efficiency, which is so funny. But regardless, they missed the play-in. But that's neither here nor there. Both these teams are really, really good offensively. We saw when we did our original NBA preview slash update early on in the season. I forget how many. I want to pull that up because I want to see where we were at there because I remember we were talking about the Pacers in the early parts of the year, and they were having like a pretty bad season, I think.
They were.
Okay. Yeah,
And
we
Tyrese
talked.
Halliburton was struggling very early.
Yeah, exactly. We did it 25 games into the season. They were 10 and 15 at that point, ninth in the East. They end up finishing as the 4 seed, so they really were able to turn it around. At that point, they were 16th in offensive efficiency and 25th in defensive efficiency. Now they sit eighth in offensive efficiency and where are they in defensive efficiency? I'm missing them on this list, I guess. Indiana, 15th in defensive efficiency. So they improved in both those categories. Milwaukee sits at 12th in defensive efficiency, and they obviously have the pedigree uh, to beat a team that's a higher seed than them in the Pacers. I want to see. I don't have this pulled up. I should have. I should have pulled this up, but I want to see what the record is between these two teams this year. It looks to be. I don't know. I'm seeing a Bucks win. Bucks win. Okay, so I think the Bucks lead the series against the Pacers this year. I'm back and forth on who I want to pick for this series. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Milwaukee. I'm gonna go with Milwaukee to get the upset here. I know the Pacers are a trending up team right now, but Milwaukee just has the pedigree. I know their Dame Lillard isn't gonna play, which is scary, but you have Giannis. You have a team that's playing pretty solid defensively. You're gonna need Kuzma to step it up and give you big minutes in the series. But give me Milwaukee to beat the Pacers and move on to face the Cavs.
Yeah, this is a series that we saw last season in the first round as well, and the Pacers ended up beating the Bucks in the 3-6 matchup. This time the Pacers get home court advantage. We talked about it on that thing. Tyrese Halliburton had a rough start to the season. This Pacers team had a rough start to the season, but they stayed the course. Halliburton has turned it around since the All-Star break and really since January 1st. He's averaging 18.6, 9.2 assists, 51% shooting, and 44% from three on almost just over 7 attempts. They've been the sixth best offense in the league since the start of January. They have depth on this team. They have a lot of talent, guys that can go and score. We've seen many guys, and especially last year in the playoffs, saw TJ McConnell go out and have a good season. Obi Toppin's been solid. Benedict Mathurin is healthy this season. They did not have him last year for that playoff run. Thomas Bryant as well has been a guy for them that has been good. They have a lot of guys that can go out and get him, and then obviously you have Aaron Nesmith, who's been great, and Emhard, Halliburton, and Siakam have all been very good. With the Bucks, they were disappointing at the start of the season, just like the Pacers. Um, been up and down all year. They did win the NBA Cup with Lillard and Giannis both healthy at that point. Lillard will not be ready to go for this first round, which is very concerning. Him and Giannis have been the highest scoring duo in the NBA this season. They traded for Kyle Kuzma at the deadline. It's been a solid trade for him. Giannis is obviously one of the best players in the MVP in the NBA. He's been playing at an MVP level all season. He's almost an underrated player because he's so good, but kind of doesn't get the respect that I think he probably deserves. But for this matchup, I'm leaning towards the Pacers. I think they just have more depth. The Bucks don't have as much depth as them. I think they go out and win this in about 6 games. I think their offense is going to dominate, and they've been on fire recently, and they were great in the playoffs last season, so I don't expect them to struggle with the added pressure of the playoffs. So I'm going to take the Pacers in this one in 6.
Okay, we'll move on here to the New York Knicks playing against the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons have had an absolutely phenomenal season. They've been so bad in the past 6, 7 years, and they completely continued to find themselves uh, in the top of the draft lottery and then end up getting the fifth pick despite being the first odds year in and year out. And here they are. Eventually, it worked out for them. Cade Cunningham is playing at an all NBA level right now. And they're playing against this Knicks team that all they went into the season. They traded for Karl Anthony Towns. They already have McHale and OJ Anunoby. Of course, Jalen Brunson's one of the best players in the league. Josh Hart is great. They're fairly deep as well. McBride is solid. Mitchell Robinson as well. But a lot of people were pretty disappointed with this Knicks team this year. I know they won 51 games, but a lot of people expected them to be a lot better versus the good opponents. They were not fantastic against great opponents this year. They got blown out by the Celtics a few times. They sit at fifth in offensive efficiency and 13th in defensive efficiency. The 13th in defensive efficiency is just so strange, considering they have guys like Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, who are all great defensively. So it's just strange to see them low on that list. As far as scoring, I don't have the numbers on me right now, but I'm pretty sure they put more points per game up than the Pistons this year. The Pistons, I think, are unfortunately going to be a victim of a bit of overachieving here in the 2025 regular season. Nobody expected them to be here. They don't even make the play-in, which is super impressive to just make the actual playoffs as a team who hadn't made the play-in in however many years it's been. I don't think they've ever made the play-in since it's existed. So I'm very excited to watch this Pistons team play in the playoffs. I'm going to be rooting for them against the Knicks, but I'm just worried that I'm worried that the Knicks offense is just a little bit too much for them. The Pistons are where are they? They're ninth in defensive efficiency, so they've been pretty solid this year, but the Knicks are so good offensively. They've been there before. Like you said, last year they made a run. They did lose to the Pacers, but they made a run last year. I think that playoff experience, especially with a guy like McHale who's been to the finals, and Jalen Brunson and OG who have been to the second round, I'm gonna take the Knicks here as the favorite to move on, beating the Pistons and moving on to the second round.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this one. Detroit has won the last three matchups this season against the Knicks. Knicks won the first matchup, and the Pistons have won the rest of the four matchups that they've had. Pistons are a very scrappy team. They're very tough. They obviously can get into a fight at any moment with Isaiah Stewart. Cade Cunningham has emerged as he wasn't obviously an all-star this season, but he's very, very good, an all NBA player probably this season. Against the Knicks, he's averaged 30.8 points per game, 8.3 assists in the four games, shooting about 56% overall and 52% on three-pointers. Pistons haven't even won a single playoff game since 2008. It's been a long drought for Detroit. Those Detroit teams tend to have that, but we saw one Detroit team break their playoff drought very recently. Can another do that and maybe even go and get a series? The Knicks, they've had a good regular season. They started out slow. Another team like that started out slow. They had to deal with a Jalen Brunson injury for a while, but he's been back and been healthy. The main concern I have with the Knicks is one of the concerns I have every season with a Tom Thibodeau led team is they tend to overuse players during the regular season and they're a little gassed during the playoffs where we saw, I think, Mikal Bridges has the most minutes in the NBA this season. Second is I know they have the top two, and then Anunoby is ninth. Um, Jalen Brunson, if it wasn't for that injury, he would definitely be on that list as well. I think maybe Karl Anthony Towns was second. They rely heavily on their starting five all season. They don't have too much depth, so I want to pick the Pistons. I really do. Um, but the Knicks starting five, I think they'll have enough go to get it out of the first round and stay out. But it's going to be a lot of very intense atmospheres. Detroit's going to be riled up for their first playoff series in a long time, and it's always going to be a tough atmosphere to play in New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden in the playoffs. So this should be a very fun, very exciting series, and I really, really want to pick the Pistons, but I think I'm going to go with the Knicks here. More experience.
Okay, we'll finish off the East here with the two seed Celtics, who are now facing the seven seed Magic, as we saw the Magic defeat the Hawks in the first play-in game for the East last night as we're recording this. Boston opens as a 14.5 point favorite in game one, which is pretty significant. The Magic, a little bit of a letdown year. They were the two seed last year, weren't they?
Were
I,
they?
I think they were the two seed last season,
I
if I'm
just
not
had it
mistaken.
pulled up.
They've been a great defensive team the past few years now. They're sitting at second in defensive efficiency, just behind OKC, who's been great all year. Boston sits at two in offensive efficiency and five in defensive efficiency. The Magic are
Or the five.
they were the five last year.
Yeah.
I don't know where I remember them being the two seed. I don't know why. I think maybe they were the two seed for a while and they dropped. But Orlando, although being second in defensive efficiency, sits at 27th in offensive efficiency, fourth worst in the NBA. We know who Boston is, though. We know how good this team can be. Although they did finish with, I think, the third best record in the regular season, in my opinion, it's not close. Boston is the best team in the league. They're just such a deep team. They have dudes six, seven, eight, ninth on their bench that would start on a lot of teams in this league. I do have a future on Boston to win it all, so I am going to be rooting for them as one of the two teams I'm rooting for to win it all. I'll give my West team when we get to the West. But I just expect this to be a series where the Magic can do what they can defensively to stay in a lot of these games early, and I wouldn't be shocked to see a lot of these games be close in the second or third quarter. But Boston's offense is just so much better than the Magic's offense. And when you have the 27th best offense going against the fifth best defense, it's going to be really tough for the Magic to score of playing a team like Boston whose fans are going to be out there. You're going to have to go into Boston and you're going to have to win one or two games in Boston. I don't think the Magic have that in them. But I will say, with that being said, the Magic have the best record in the league against Boston in the past two seasons. They're 6-3 in their last nine games versus Boston. So they are a team that has had Boston's number a little bit. I don't think the Celtics really wanted to play the Magic. I think they much would have rather had the Hawks of the play-in teams here. But regardless, I think they're kind of nitpicking with that matchup. Although the Magic have had their number, it's playoff time. I think Boston's going to take over, and I see Boston winning this game in five. There's this series in five.
Yeah, I see Boston winning the series as well, kind of easily. Their fourth consecutive 50-win season. The only thing that can really, I think, hold them back from making a very, very deep playoff run is injuries. They've had Kristaps banged up all season. Horford's been banged up, and right now Jaylen Brown is banged up with a bone bruise in his knee. If they stay healthy, I think they can go to the NBA Finals again. But that's a question mark. That's really my only concern with them. I think if they're all healthy, they should make a deep run. The Magic's had a good season from Wagner and Banchero. They Banchero did deal with that injury for a good part of the season, but he's been great. This team has been good moving forward. They win their play-in game last season. They were the five, so maybe a little bit of a fall off, but injuries have helped that. Um, ha haven't helped that. They've made them fall a little bit here. I just like the Celtics team here in this matchup, no matter what. I think Celtics in five as well. They have championship DNA. They know what it takes to advance. They've gotten kicked out early in the playoffs before. I don't think that's going to happen again. So I have Boston in five.
Okay, we'll move to the West then. We'll skip the Thunder because we do not know their opponent yet. We will move on to the Nuggets and Clippers. And this, in my opinion, is probably the best series of the first round. I don't know. All three of these West series are going to be really, really good. Nuggets, I believe, are an underdog. I'm gonna pull up FanDuel odds. We'll see. We'll do it live here. I think the Clippers are favorites in the series. I don't know if you have that offhand, but all right, West playoff series. Okay. Yeah, Clippers are minus 118. So they're a slight favorite. The Nuggets are plus 100 on the money line for the series. Nuggets, of course, the big storyline is firing Mike Malone. I don't know if we've talked about that on the podcast yet. Maybe we haven't. I'm not sure if we have or
I
not.
don't think we
I know
have.
we posted on TikTok, but I don't think we have talked about Mike Malone being fired yet, which is just crazy. I personally, I understand why you'd want to get rid of a coach. The NBA is very frugal with that. You just fire coaches even if they just won. But firing him right before the playoffs is just, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, totally. We know the West was very close this year. Both these teams did finish with the same record of 50 and 32, being the 4 and the 5 seed here. The Clippers are on fire. They've won 9 of their last 10. Kawhi is back. This defense has been playing a lot better with Kawhi. If you look at the efficiency numbers here, we have the Clippers sitting at 13th in offensive efficiency and fourth in defensive efficiency, and that's with Kawhi not playing the entire season. So they're really, really dominant on the defensive end. The Nuggets, on the other end, are third in offensive efficiency. They now have Jamal Murray back and healthy, which should be very, very good for them. And then defensively, they are 24th. So they've struggled a bit defensively. We know this Clippers team is up and down offensively. Some nights they look great, some nights they don't. But they have multiple scorers and guys like Harden and Kawhi who can go get you buckets. I do I guess I can say my future now that we've gotten to this matchup. I do have a future on the Nuggets to win the championship at plus 3,000. If I had to pick who I think is going to make the finals, it would probably be the Thunder in Boston. But the odds on the Nuggets, champions 2 years ago, best player in the league, maybe rally around their new head coach, plus 3K, 30 to 1. It was a bet that I had to make. This was probably the nightmare matchup for me, though, in the first round with them. I think I would have maybe even rather played the Lakers just because of how hot the Clippers are right now. This is a very, very tough series for me. Denver is third in points per game, first in assists per game. Their offense has been great. They're first in field goal percentage as well. So they've been all over. And the Clippers do struggle. My mind is telling me
I can
Clippers. What was that?
I can go if you want more time to think.
No, I got it. My mind is telling me the Clippers. My heart is telling me the Nuggets. No, I gotta ride with my future. I gotta ride with my future. Give me Denver and the best player in the league to get past the Clippers and play the Thunder, which regardless, the the Thunder are getting a brutal matchup in the second round.
Yeah, very, very brutal matchup no matter what. Again, with the Clippers, your main concern, as always, with the Los Angeles Clippers is can Kawhi Leonard stay healthy for this playoff run? I do think he will this season. We saw last season he played at the start of the year. I think he played up until like the 60th game of the season, kind of consistently. and then he kind of just fell off, and his knee wasn't at the right spot. This season they waited until about 40 games, 30 games into the season, maybe a little more, and then they started letting him play. So he could reach that 60 games possibly by the end of the playoffs, and he will have a lot of rest time in between those games. So I think Kawhi Leonard could be healthy for this playoff run, and when he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the NBA. And this season, they've had guys step up in his absence. Norman Powell was very good while Kawhi was out, and he's still been solid. James Harden all season has been very good, kind of turned back the clock. He's been scoring very well. And even Zubac has been a very good piece for this Clippers team. And I think he could be the X factor in this series, having to guard Zubac or having to guard Jokic. If he can stay one-on-one with Jokic, which he's been one of the better defenders against Jokic, that could be huge for this Clippers team getting an advantage there. They got some depth at the deadline with Bogdanovich and Ben Simmons, which has helped his bench. And then you go to the Nuggets, who just fired their head coach Mike Malone. 3 games left in the regular season. It looks like they're looking towards the future with their new head coach. He's been their like basically offensive head coach in recent years. They wanted to keep him and have him be their head coach for the future. Their big bonus here is that they have the best basketball player in the world with Jokic. He's going to be good in this series no matter what. It's just you have to keep him good and not great, I guess, in this series. Since he's entered the league in 2015, 2016, there's been 20 players that have defended him for 100 or more shots as the closest defender. Zubac is the only player from that group to hold Jokic below 45% shooting in both the regular season and the playoffs. That's according to ESPN research. So that's big if Zubac can slow down Jokic at all. That's going to be huge. But for the Nuggets, they also need Jamal Murray to obviously step up. He's also been banged up most of the season with a hamstring injury. If he can hit those clutch shots like he did last season and the season prior, this Nuggets team is going to be almost impossible to beat. But he's got to stay healthy and hit those shots. With all that being said, though, I am going to go with the Clippers. I think that this is kind of a good matchup for them, and maybe the year that everyone doubts them, they can finally start to make a run in the playoffs, and I think they'll stay healthy. So I got the Clippers.
I wanted to mention this. I forgot to mention this with the Nuggets, but Nikola Jokic is the only MVP in the history of the league to never have a teammate selected to an all-star game, an all NBA team, or an all defensive team. And he has won 3 MVPs, which is just absolutely insane. It just cements him as one of the greats, no question.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I just truly cannot believe that stat. But um, we'll move on to the next one here. Lakers versus Timberwolves. The Lakers, since getting Luka, have obviously been great. They made their way to the 3 seed. I want to say this is their highest seed since 2021, I believe. Or no, they were 7 seed in 21. I think this might be their highest seed with LeBron as a 3 seed. I can't remember what they were in that bubble year.
I think they were the 1 seed in that bubble year.
Okay, but okay, so actual years, they have not, this is their highest seed non-bubble year. But the Lakers are 12th in offensive efficiency and they are 17th in defensive efficiency. And the Timberwolves are ninth in offensive efficiency and sixth in defensive efficiency. Despite being a pretty efficient team all year, the Timberwolves have had a fairly disappointing year after a year last year where they were the 2 seed and they looked really, really good. They beat the Suns in the first round, they beat the Nuggets in the second round, and then they of course lost in the third round. But yeah, this is tough for me. Of course, they trade away Karl Anthony Towns in the offseason. They bring in Julius Randle. They are fourth in 3-point percentage and fifth in 3-point makes this year. So they've been one of, if not the best 3-point shooting team. I'd say they're probably just under the Cavaliers for best 3-point shooting teams this year. The Cavs having shooting 38.3%, over 1,300 threes made, which is just a ridiculous, ridiculous stat. The Lakers, on the other hand, they're a pretty well-rounded team. They now, of course, add in a second pure scorer with Luka in there. I mean, AD is obviously a great scorer as well, but when you've got a guy like Luka who can go make that shot for you and has the playoff experience, I believe he's the leading playoff scorer in the past 2 years. I know he was last year for sure. So you add that in with a guy like LeBron who has all the experience you could possibly imagine. This is tough for me because I think the Timberwolves are good enough defensively where they can shut down this Lakers team and they can win a lot of games. But I just think the Lakers have too many late game shot makers, and I think we see a ton of close games in this series, and I trust LeBron James and Luka Doncic more than I trust Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle at this point. So, although I think the Timberwolves are going to give a good defensive effort and possibly stretch this to seven, I'm going to take the late game shot makers and the clutch players in the playoffs and take the LA Lakers to win it.
Yeah, this is a tough one here. Timberwolves have gotten hotter later in the season. Julius Randle's been playing better. Um, he's and had 18.5 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and 5.3 assists per game post All-Star break, shooting almost 40% from three. DiVincenzo's been shooting 45% from three since the All-Star break. You also have Anthony Edwards. You have the superstar talent that has risen in the playoffs last season. Can you do it again this year against a Lakers team that at the trade deadline makes a massive move to go and get Luka Doncic, has been playing very good since. Have they played together long enough to make a very deep run in the playoffs once they have to play some of these other teams? Luckily, they do avoid the Thunder and those Nuggets and Clippers early in the playoffs. They don't have to worry about them. They're going to have their big men step up a little bit. Jackson Hayes is going to have to rebound. This is a Timberwolves team that is very active on the glass. They're one of the better offensive rebounding teams in the NBA. They're going to have to be aggressive there. Um, Austin Reeves is going to have to continue his great play. He's been very good. He's been playing at almost an all-star level. Dorian Finney-Smith as well has been very good for him. So they're going to have to rebound. And then for the Timberwolves, they're going to need to see who they really have that can guard Luka Doncic because it's going to be very challenging. Last season, we saw him really dominate this Timberwolves team in the playoffs when he was with the Mavericks. I go back and forth on this one, but I think I'm just going to trust the Lakers, trust LeBron, trust Luka, two guys who have risen in the playoffs before, and I'm going to pick the Lakers to win in maybe seven, honestly.
Okay, then our final series here in the West with the Rockets and the Warriors. This series is also going to be fantastic. The Warriors coming out of the play-in here after losing to the Clippers for the last game of the regular season. They fall to the play-in and they beat Memphis last night to move on and play the Rockets here in the 2-7 matchup. They've essentially split the games in the regular season. They played 5 games, so an odd number, but the Warriors won 3 of those 5 games. Rockets won 2 of them. The Rockets had one blowout in there. The Warriors had one blowout, and then the rest of the games were decided by 6 points, 6 points, 1 point, and even the two blowouts were 13 and 10. So we didn't have a true blowout. This series should be absolutely phenomenal. We know how good Houston is defensively, very similar to Orlando. They've been dominant defensively the past couple of years, just need to put it together on offense. Houston is 17th in offensive efficiency, third in defensive efficiency, and Golden State is 16th in offensive efficiency and seventh in defensive efficiency. So a couple great defensive teams here. Golden State, of course, has the experience over Houston here. Houston, this is they're snapping the playoff drought, and they end up being the 2 seed after snapping a playoff drought. I don't think they've made the playoffs since 2018, 2019 with James Harden in those years. So this young group, a lot of guys who haven't played a ton in the playoffs. Fred VanVleet obviously has, but Sengun, Jalen Green, those guys, Amen Thompson, those guys are playing in their first playoff series here against a team that has a ton of experience. Golden State, of course, has Steph, and now they have Jimmy Butler, who is a guy who historically is significantly better in the playoffs than he is in the regular season. But this is the first time that he's ever been a true second option in the playoffs. He's almost always, I mean, he has always been the number one option. He's the guy who's going to go play 40 minutes. He's going to go take 20 something shots in the playoffs. And that's just not really probably going to be the strategy for them here because you have Steph Curry, you need to let Steph cook. But Jimmy seems to be okay with being a second option. He knows he's the second option. I think he said it the other day that he's the second option to Steph. So that's good that he has that going in. Golden State does. They are number 4 in 3 pointers made this year. They're not in the top five percentage wise, but they are 4 in total makes. The Rockets need to make shots to win this series. I mean, obviously it's a make or miss league, but they need to make shots to win this series. They're going to have to shoot the ball well from three. I think they're good enough defensively to make these games really gritty, put these games in the 90s. We see the games in the regular season. Two of them, neither team hit 100. Two of them, only one team hit 100, and then only one of them where they both hit 100. So I think we're going to see a very low scoring series here between Houston and Golden State. Man, I really don't want to pick against the Rockets because I think that's just like the popular thing to do right now is, oh, the Rockets aren't ready yet. They're too young. This isn't their year yet, which I agree with. I think they are too young. I don't think it's their year yet. I don't think they can win the NBA title, but I do think they're plenty good enough to win this series. And defense is one of those things that defense stays. You can, if you're a great offensive team, you can have series where you're not making shots and you could lose. You're not going to have series where you're a great defensive team and all of a sudden you can't guard anybody. They're going to be able to guard this entire series. But the same reason why I'm taking the Lakers with Luka and LeBron, two playoff closers, the Warriors have two playoff closers and Jimmy and Steph. So I'm gonna take the Warriors to pull off the upset here. I don't, is it an upset on the series though? I don't think it would be. Yeah, Golden State's favored. Minus 188 to win this series. Don't love
Wow.
that. But I'm gonna take the Warriors to move on and match up another matchup with LeBron and Steph in the playoffs, which would be great.
Yeah, that's a shocking shocking number for that bet. But Rockets Warriors, I mean I think the in like my head I think the Rockets are too young. They don't have the playoff experience. But we've seen it before in the NBA playoffs. That experience last season didn't really matter. The Pacers made a deep run. Timberwolves made a run. You don't necessarily need experience in the NBA as much to make a run, but in my head I still just believe it. This Rockets team has been a gritty, tough team, kind of like a just a better Pistons. They've been very good since the start of March. I think they won 15 of 17 games. They've been in the middle of the pack offensively, but very, very good, top five in almost all defensive metrics. They had the postseason experience. Like I said, is an issue. Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks are the only players on this team that have played in the playoffs. Fred VanVleet's won a championship. But you got a guy, Amen Thompson, who's been very good. He's a guy who's going to go out there and guard Curry, and if he can guard Curry, that's going to be huge. When they last met on April 6th, the Warriors did win, but he held him to 1 for 10 shooting in that game. This Rockets team also gets a lot of offensive rebounds. They're very quick. I think this Rockets team is very good. It's just in my head, I continue to think about Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, like you said, being playoff risers. Draymond Green's played so much playoff basketball. They have so many guys. Looney Tunes, he has playoff experience as well. So they've been a 12-3 since they had Jimmy Butler for that after going 13-21, and they made the trade for Jimmy Butler in their last however many games. But I'm gonna pick the Warriors to win, and I'm gonna pick the Warriors to win in seven in this series. I think the Rockets are going to be very good. I think it's going to be a very exciting series as well. I think all of these, honestly, I think all eight of these matchups are going to be very good, except maybe one or two in the Eastern Conference. But I'm very excited for this one, and I think the Warriors get in seven.
Okay. We can move on now to our bracket. I'll run through mine quickly. I'll start with the East. The Cavs, no matter who they play, I'm going to have them winning in five and moving on. I said I like the Bucks to beat the Pacers. Give me the Bucks to win that in 6 games. Give me the Knicks to beat the Pistons in 6 games, and the Celtics to beat the Magic in 5 games. Staying in the East, give me the Cavs to beat the Bucks in 6, and the Celtics to beat the Knicks in 5. I think the Celtics just have the Knicks number, and I think they're going to win that series fairly easily. Matching up the Cavs and the Celtics, and I got the Celtics winning that in 6 games, moving on to the NBA championship. In the West, I got the Thunder sweeping whoever they play in the first round. Nuggets, Clippers. Give me the Nuggets in 7 there. Lakers, Timberwolves. I'm going to take the Lakers in 6. And Warriors, Rockets. I'm going to take the Warriors in 6. Thunder versus the Nuggets. Although I do have a future on the Nuggets, it's because they're plus 3K. I'm going to take the Thunder to win this series in 6. And then Lakers, Warriors. I think we see that one go to 7, and I think the Lakers with Luka and LeBron move on to the Western Conference Finals. Give me the Thunder to win that series in 6 against LeBron and the Lakers, matching up the 1 seed Thunder with the 2 seed Celtics. And the Thunder have been so good all year. They're so dominant defensively. The way they play defense is fun to watch, but Boston is just so well rounded, and I trust their ability to be deeper and to have more scoring. And I got the Celtics beating the Thunder in 6 games and winning the NBA championship.
Yeah, I was writing mine out while you went, so I hope it's not. Oh no, it can't be identical. But okay, so for the first round, I have OKC, and I think they likely play the Grizzlies in that matchup. I have them winning in five. They've been dominant all season on both sides of the ball. Very fun to watch. I think they win that in five. I got Clippers in six, then Lakers Timberwolves. I have Lakers in seven. I think it's gonna be a very close series, but LeBron in winner go home games has won like his last. It's how I can't remember how many it is, but he's won a bunch of winner go home games in a row. It's in the double digits. Rockets Warriors. I think the Warriors win in seven as well. Then OKC versus the Clippers. I have OKC in six. Lakers versus Warriors. I have the Lakers in six. And then OKC versus the Lakers. I have OKC going to the NBA Finals after beating the Lakers in six games. In the Eastern Conference, I have the Cavaliers, whoever they play in the first round. I have them winning in six games. I think they might struggle. I got the Pacers in six against the Bucks. Knicks in six against the Pistons. Celtics in five against the Magic. Um, he had Celtics in six against the Knicks, and then Cavs in seven against the Pacers. I think that's going to be a very close series. And then I have the Celtics advancing to the NBA Finals in a six-game series against the Cavaliers. And then for the NBA Finals, Celtics versus Thunder, I also have Boston winning in six games. They have the experience as long as they can stay healthy. I think they are going to go on a run and maybe win the finals again.
All right, that will about do it then for this episode of the Engage 8 podcast. We will be back next week to discuss the first few games we've had of the first round here of the NBA playoffs, as well as the play-in. Maybe we'll talk a little bit on NHL too, because I do have a couple NHL futures I'm going to be sweating out here in the playoffs. But if you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are over 200 subscribers now on the channel. Hit all the links in our description for TikTok, Spotify, social media, and all that good stuff. And we'll see everybody in the next one.